On today's Locked On Senators, it took overtime, but the losing streak is over. Drake Batherson gets the overtime winner. Sens beat the Penguins 2-1 to sweep the season series.
And we have a SensCentral Citizen today. We get to say what up to Dashy.
What up, Dashy?
You guys know him from Mary J's.
We'll get into all that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 1001 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. A reminder, you can follow the show on social media. We're at SensCentral on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. The show is free and available on all podcast platforms, including on YouTube, where we say hello and let you know that a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today is Wednesday, March 13th, and first and foremost, wow, cannot believe the overwhelming support that came through yesterday when we hit our 1,000th episode. We will get back to all the comments on Twitter and on YouTube, and I just want to say to the citizens, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, it's crazy how much support and how many kind words we've gotten from all over the place. And we see them all and we appreciate them all. And Ross, I am loving the new ring of episode 1000 and moving forward. Woo!
It's certainly something to move forward in the right direction. We hope the Sens can join them. By the way, speaking of moving in the right direction, Tim Stützle might be the most snake-bitten player in the National Hockey League. What do you have, 8 shots on goal last night, 5 scoring chances, and he still can't bury?
Yeah, 8 shots on goal, and at least 4 of them were high-danger scoring opportunities, especially a couple in overtime, including a breakaway. It's tough. And that's a guy that gets frustrated and wears his heart on his sleeve. So if we think it's tough and frustrating, I can't imagine how Timmy's stewing with all this.
It helps getting a primary apple on the OT winner, though. And shout out to Drake Batherson, his 23rd goal of the season. That sets a career high for him. We talked the other day. Wins and losses, more or less irrelevant going through the rest of the season. We want milestones for players. Drake Batherson, really one of the above expectation performers. Him, Mathieu Joseph, probably 1-2 in that category of guys who we came into the season with some expectations, and then they've exceeded them even more. So shout out to Drake and the team he grew up cheering for against Sidney Crosby and all that. That's a great moment for him. And we're hoping that the Senators can really kind of gather around these different players who are closing in on points, whether it's total points in their career or for the season. So all in all, sold out crowd. It always is when Pittsburgh's in town. So strange, though, how many Penguins fans are in Ottawa. That's a story for another day, but they got to see a great game, despite it being 1-0 until 10 seconds left when Pittsburgh was able to tie it up on, I don't know if that hit the glove or not, but hey, whatever at this point in the season, right? You could say that about the goalie interference at the other side earlier in the third period where Claude Giroux's goal got called back, but that was an entertaining hockey game, and that's what we want to see for the last 19.
Yeah, I mean, even though it was 0-0 for majority of the game, Ross, once some goals started trickling in and overtime was very thrilling. I feel like the Penguins fans in Ottawa, most of them are probably Sidney Crosby fans that now merged into Penguins fans, especially if there's East Coasters working for the government. They're definitely going to be Crosby fans. So we'll give them a pass on that one. But another good storyline from that, Ross, was my first SensCentral standout, Jake Sanderson. I thought he had a great game. He hits 30 points. He's now tied for the team lead in points by defenseman, tied with Jacob Chikrin with 31. So Jake Sanderson kind of quietly having a nice season offensively.
Yeah, great to see. And you mentioned he got his 30th point, and then he added to it because he scored his 8th goal and then had the secondary assist on that OT winner. And after the SensCentral Citizen that's coming up, we're going to have a segment on Zack Ostapchuk because he had his NHL debut and made a few great plays. And we'll discuss whether or not he's an NHLer for the rest of the season or what the play is there. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I thought Jake Sanderson, who got the helmet, by the way, the fire helmet given from Thomas Chabot over to Jake Sanderson. I think that the best is yet to come, obviously, with Jake Sanderson still on his rookie deal. And he's starting to really figure it out at the NHL level. Ironically, since Thomas Chabot's been out, now he's elevated his game even more. I thought Chychrun had a nice game yesterday as well. I thought a lot of guys played well. And obviously, the score wouldn't dictate that with how close it was. But I'm excited now for tomorrow's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Look at that. Ross excited for a Sens game. Here we go.
Hey, it's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it because, look, if they win, I've realized I like when the Sens win. It's fun. But if
especially
they lose
up against a team like the Penguins, like that's an extra little bit of like fist bump.
If the Sens only played their rivals this season, they'd be in first place. Like if they only played Pittsburgh, Montreal, Detroit, Toronto, like they would be in first place.
But if they only played teams 25th and lower, believe it or not, they would be worse than they actually are right now.
Well, and if they only played Western Conference teams on the road, they'd be
the worst team in regular season history. But
they do have 2 wins coming up though in Winnipeg, in Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
Absolute wins.
Yes,
and
sir.
Stay tuned. We've gotten a lot of DMs too. Probably like 7 or 8 of people being like, "Hey, I'm going to the game in Minnesota. Let's go." So we're gonna have a pregame meetup in Mini for sure. We'll pick a bar near the rink and get a little Sens army going on. Now I got a spin zone for the people. Can I give the people a spin zone here who are like, we gave Pittsburgh a point. Well, guess what? We want Pittsburgh to get that point because as it stands right now, Tankathon, which happens to be my homepage on Google, it seems these days.
Weird.
The Pittsburgh Penguins have the 10th best odds to win first overall. If they win first overall, first of all, it's so rigged, it's not even funny. But they have top 10 protected that first round pick from San Jose in the Erik Karlsson trade. And I don't want them to get a first round pick because I think that misery can extend a little further in it's really earned misery because they've had 2 decades of success with Sidney Crosby at his prime. I want them to miss out on their first round pick by 1 spot. I would love for them to draft 11th overall and watch San Jose go up and make that pick. So we helped that happen by allowing Pittsburgh to get a point in last night's game.
And how about the poetic justice that now another Karlsson trade has top 10 protected implications that could be franchise altering here. So that's just wild that it's happened twice for the same player.
It really is. And yeah, the fall apart, or no, sorry, they didn't top 10 protect their pick, Pilsy, in San Jose's case. That's how Ottawa got it because what happened was this was the condition. If San Jose made the conference finals in 2019, they owed Buffalo a first round pick for that year in the Evander Kane trade. So because they had to give up that pick to Buffalo, Ottawa's pick moved to 2020.
Okay. I knew there was some sort of implication there, but I forgot about that little wrinkle. Yep.
And then Martin Jones, shout out Martin Jones, came through with his .897 save percentage. But hey, look, the Ottawa Senators, they get 2 points. They're going up against elite tanking teams in Columbus, Arizona, and Anaheim. Those teams can lose with the best of them. We're just going to have to wait and see where the chips fall.
But the Sens can't beat them, so I think they might out-tank them here.
I don't know. We'll see. I still want to finish ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. I still want Montreal to draft ahead of Ottawa. I think it's hilarious. It'll be good for memes going forward, and it will hopefully pay off in the short term for me personally. But anyways, that's all side notes of last night's game. 2-1 the final score, and you killed it on the postcast, Pilsy. You set the bar high. I'm going to be doing the solo postcast on Sunday because Pilsy will be boots on the ground in Ottawa. Maybe we'll get a call in from him, but I'll be running the show here on Locked On Senators, and Pilsy will be in section 210. And if you want tickets to the game, you can go check out our Twitter. We'll put the link there for discounted tickets. We'll also put it on our YouTube. Discounted tickets for the Ottawa Senators game this Sunday against the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, let's get to our SensCentral Citizen. We've got Dashy coming up on the show, and then afterwards we'll take a look at the new guy. Zack Ostapchuk makes his NHL debut. Is he here to stay? That's all next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Guys, you already know that passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle or level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you like speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Check it out today, guys. eBay Motors.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is the daily fantasy app that we love here at the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You can also play daily fantasy NBA, NFL, NBA, and college football all on Sleeper. Entries can be made in under a minute. So here's what you do. You pick studs like Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Claude Giroux, Jake Sanderson. You get where I'm going with this. To either record more or less than their Sleeper projections on things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Sens fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention, nail your picks, and you can win big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. We're simply saying what up to Dashy. Dashy from Mary J's is joining us, and man, it's been a long time coming. What's going on, brother? Welcome to Locked On Senators.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I've been so excited to come on here. It's nice. Nice.
We know that number 18 is your favorite for Mary and host. Everyone who listens to the show, we already know that. So is that the era, like 98, 2000, when Hossa came up, you started following the team?
Hossa came up, and then, obviously he got traded. I was like super upset. And then, Danny Healy kind of made me forget about how that trade pretty quickly. So that was nice. But Healy wasn't my favorite after that. I became a huge Jason Spezza fan. I've always been a fan of like nice passes. And yeah, Spezza had some pretty nice dishes back in his day. And I just, he was our first line center. I was, it was all about, having a strong first line center, and he used to get a lot of shit from the media. So I was like, I'm going to stay true to Jason Spezza. So he was, after Hossa, I went to Spezza.
Well, we got to see Jason Spezza last night. He was in the box for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Still hurts me that he went to the Leafs and then the Penguins, but maybe we'll forgive him if he comes home eventually. But I'm glad you said Spezza. I feel like, Ross, that's a guy that most people don't mention, which is kind of crazy considering how many points he put up with this team. And he was basically the centerpiece of the pizza line. So it's wild that he doesn't get the recognition. So I love that you mentioned that, Dashy. But we got to start this off. Dashy, first off, what up? Second, how did you become an Ottawa Senators fan?
I honestly, I don't know. But I just grew up watching hockey. Watching hockey. I was actually born in Montreal. Then I was raised in Ottawa. So I wasn't really a Habs fan in Montreal. I don't really watch too much hockey, but I moved to Ottawa when I was like 8 or 9. And then something about the Sens just, I guess it's the only team in the city. So it just sort of caught on from there. team was great from the start. We've always had a great team until the last 10 years, I'd say. The team was always dominant, so it was like they were easy to watch, and I fell in love with them. Yeah.
And with that, I mean, you already talked about Jason Spezza, the pizza line, dishers, all that. Yep. What was it about that team beyond just kind of the top end players that made them so enjoyable to watch for you?
There was always like weird storylines. Like I can't remember too many of them, but I just remember it being super emotional. The cash line obviously was money, but then you had the whole Ray Emery thing at one point. Just the goalie sort of struggle that's always been the Senators. Daniel Alfredson's career. There was always these crazy storylines. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it's always been emotional as well with this team, which is, it's been nice. It still is to this day.
Dude, remember Ray Emery missed a flight to a playoff game because he got in a crash on the Queensway in his white Hummer?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Good times. Dominic Hasek pulling his groin in the Olympics. That's another, I'm finally that year. I'm like, this is it. Like, we got it. What we have Dominic Hasek, but what else? Like we're good to go. And
3 Hall of Famers on that team: Chara, Hasek. I mean, Chara's not there yet; he will be, and then obviously Alfie too. So man. So to you, 06. I always ask this question because 2003, the President's Trophy winning team. 06, the team that really had everything except a goalie, and no disrespect, Ray Emery was awesome, but he was a rookie at the time. And then 07, they make it to the Cup final and lose in 5 games. You think 06 was their best shot?
I think 06 was their best shot. I do remember the 03. I remember I was at my cousin's house and I was rushing home to get there because it was like almost 7 p.m. And I remember falling off my bike and scraping my shoulder real bad. So it's like this sort of negative memory, and that I'm pretty sure that was the game 7. We lost to New Jersey. I believe.
So that's your story equivalent to Ray Emery car crash before the
exactly.
It
was my
bike crash before the game. Gotcha.
And something else about this team, and maybe you can pick up on this with your thoughts about it, but it doesn't feel like they always have a flair for the dramatics. And maybe that's picking up on you saying like the storylines. Like you think of 2015, the Hamburglar run, which is still kind of like messed with my brain throughout the years, where it's like you never feel like you're out of it until
it can't be going in this season the whole time. I'm like, we never know, they could go in this run. Look at Edmonton, they're on like they're on that crazy run, and I was just like, they have the personnel to do it this year, and it's just, I mean, I know the goaltending's been an issue, but it's been disappointing. It's been disappointing to say the least. Yeah.
How would you fix them?
Tough question. I think goaltending is definitely like probably where we start. Whether it's we trust one of the guys we have now, I don't know if that's the solution or not, or we go out and we find a goaltender. That hasn't really worked well in our favor either. So it's this ongoing goaltending issue. It's like we had Craig Anderson and he was the answer, but now it's like we need him and we don't have him anymore. So I'm not sure, honestly, but it starts with goaltending, that's for sure. And the rest of the team, honestly, they're young. I think, these are really tough growing pains, but they are still kind of growing pains. I think if they had better goaltending around them this year, they'd probably do a little better for their confidence at least. But I think it starts with goaltending, and it works. You work your way up there.
So this is our first SensCentral Citizen since after the trade deadline under the new regime here. So Dashy, I want to put a feeler out there. You just heard Dave Poulin on the show yesterday. What is your confidence level with this management group now? Like the Dorion kind of group and style is fully gone. They've now had a deadline under their belt, albeit they don't do a whole lot. Trade Tarasenko for picks and pick up Boris Kachuk. That's about it. But where's your confidence level with this management group?
Honestly, right now, it's still very unknown. Yeah. It's like they didn't really do anything. They traded Tarasenko for a pile of pucks. And it's, that wasn't a very good taste, I find, in most Sens fans' mouths. So it's not a very good start, I'd say. But I'm still very hopeful. It's not, they weren't really dealt a very easy hand.
Yeah.
It's, can't really blame them too much, but it's, what they've done so far, it's kind of just, it's unknown, my trust in them. Yeah.
Fair.
But I'm very hopeful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the rest of the season, then being hopeful is one thing, but what are you hoping to see on the ice in actual practice for the last 19 games?
Just some confidence, like, maybe they like a puck goes in and it's not like there's not just 3 more goals that go in right after that. It's like, show me some games where you can build some confidence. They don't need to go on this big run. Like, honestly, at this point, like, better get a better draft pick. But it's you want to see the confidence. You want to see the team building chemistry. Maybe a line starts clicking really well again. Like, they had a couple lines that worked the last couple of years, but they can't just seem to keep it going more than 1 year. So it's like, start building some chemistry.
So, Dashy, I have this saying. It goes, for sports, if you can't sell wins, sell hope. And if you can't sell hope, sell nostalgia. So the Ottawa Senators, they bring back Jacques Martin, and Daniel Alfredsson's on the bench here.
Yep.
First, two-parter. How did you feel when that announcement was made? And how are you feeling about how the season's gone for those two behind the bench so far?
I thought it was absolute money move from the new management team. It was amazing. Like you said, selling nostalgia. I mean, it worked. Yeah. I was so happy. Jacques back. The boys are back in town. I'm like, let's go. And then the season happened, and everything went downhill. But I still think, Jacques Martin has done a pretty decent job. It's kind of like he knows he's not going to really be the coach at the end, and he's still going to have a role with the team. But I kind of get what they wanted to do by keeping DJ Smith hanging around for so long. It's like, well, let's just keep him here because everything's going to change at the end. But now we're sort of in this flux where we're just kind of like, yeah, Jacques doing okay, but he's not going to really be the one next year by by the looks of it. So it's kind of like, well, what's the plan? Why don't we hire a coach right now? Patrick Roy would have been kind of nice. I was kind of hoping for that, but that didn't work out. But I think that, they need somebody who's, one, respected. Like, nobody's going to tell Patrick Roy anything. He tells you something, you're probably going to do it. So I think they need someone like that to come in. Jacques Martin does have that sort of respect, but, it's different when that you have like a Patrick Roy, especially with this young group. Like, they need confidence. They need somebody to show them how it's done. And I don't know, Daniel Alfredsson maybe, but he doesn't have that coaching pedigree. I know Patrick Roy has a little bit of coaching pedigree, but I don't know. Yeah.
So follow up then. Patrick Roy not available. Is there a guy that's available that you think could fill those shoes?
Off the top of my head, I'm honestly not sure. I haven't really looked at the coaching availabilities. I don't know if you guys know if there's like a top 5, coaching availabilities that you could give me, and then I could make a choice. But yeah, off the top of my head, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have to wait until, even after the first round of the playoffs is when, some names that you didn't think would be available do come about. I know our friends at FanDuel are already getting excited, throwing some names out there, some odds, but we're going to wait until after at least Black Monday after the end of the season. I know they have it in the NFL, but it happens in the NHL as well when coaches kind of get dismissed right after. So we'll see how that carousel all unfolds. When it comes to players, we know Steve Staios did a lot of groundwork at the trade deadline. Are there guys that you're kind of over or feel like it's time to move on from, or are you kind of wait and see? And maybe these last 19 games will help dictate kind of who's a part of the solution and who could be used to move and acquire guys who are better strengths or better fits on this team.
Honestly, at this point, like, I don't know if I would really move anybody. I know, like, one point we were like, the fan base at least was like, let's move one of the core pieces just because something needs to be done. And I think if we had to make that kind of move, I would probably choose Thomas Chabot. I don't want to move him, but he's also like, I had high hopes for him, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. He most of the time he's a great top 4 defenseman, but I don't know whether he's worth the, I think, $8 million he's making. So I would have to probably choose Thomas Chabot, but honestly, I would just stick with the team. I'd stick with the team another year. And if the end of the year, next year, if we're still in the same stage, then something needs to change, like something major at that point. Like at that point, something major changes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the management group does move a core player just to A, move some money out so they can have flexibility to do their own thing, and B, just shake up a group that unfortunately hasn't been successful in the regular season. A part of that group, a part of that core is Josh Norris. This is a guy that signed long-term. He's only started his new deal here, and we know he's got shoulder problems, another shoulder surgery. It's really unfortunate for a guy that was a 35 goal scorer and still has a lot of potential. It's just, can the body hold up? What do you think this team needs to do because of the Josh Norris situation, Dashy? Like, do they got to go out and find another centerman that can help fill the role if he does get injured? Or do you think, hey, by this point, Shane Pinto, he's got a decent amount of experience. He's looking good recently. He can properly step into that role if Josh Norris does go down. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned Josh Norris. I probably would have chose him for my player to trade, but I feel like he's untradeable.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to move that contract. But, you know, I don't want him to be injured, but let's say he's injured long term. We'd be able to get that cap off the books and hopefully bring somebody in who was supposed to do the job that he was supposed to do, or at least second line center. Like you said, Shane Pinto's in there. So he's been kind of nice. You can kind of throw him in second line, and you got Stützle as like the first line guy. But yeah, we do need somebody that's like a top two center winger, you know, kind of hybrid player that we can throw in there. But $8 million is a lot to play with if we can kind of sort of get that contract off the books, whether it's through like long-term injured reserve or if another team wants to take a swing at Josh Norris. That'd be nice. But yeah, if you know, we'd have money to play with, which would be nice.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Dashy. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pilsy's got a word from our friends at FanDuel.
Yes, you guys know that FanDuel is the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And for a good reason. They're North America's #1 sportsbook. Look, March Madness is coming up. Everybody's starting to fill out their brackets, trying to do their research. Who's going to win it all? But when your bracket gets busted in the first hour of the tournament, you don't want to be left hanging. That's why you got FanDuel, because you can bet on every single game of the tournament, whether your bracket's busted or not. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on the point spreads, money lines, over-unders, whatever you like. You can even pick who's going to win it all, get a future in on that one. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut the nets down. Check it out today, guys. FanDuel.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub, where the vibes are free at the GCP. Go check them out at 779 Bank Street. They're right in the heart of the Glebe. So if you're heading down to Lansdowne, doing some shopping, or if you're going to the PWHL Ottawa game, well, you always can stop by the Glebe Central Pub. They're going to have all the Sens games on the TVs. They're going to have the PWHL Ottawa games. They're an Arsenal supporter bar. If you're into the footy, go swing by there in the morning, on the weekend. Whenever they're playing, they got you covered at the Glebe Central Pub. They've also got the one stop to the CTC. Just go check them out. Get your tickets online, GlebeCentralPub.com, and the Sens bus will bring you to and from the CTC. Sue makes the wheels on the bus go round and round. And she leaves the pub an hour and 15 minutes before the game. She'll drop you off right in front of the main gate and then pick you right back up after the game. It's the easiest way to get to and from the CTC and only $17 round trip. The vibes are free at the GCP. Go follow them on social media as well. They'll make sure you know when there's new events going on. They've got trivia, live music, all sorts of great things at the Glebe Central Pub. So go and check them out where the vibes are free. It's at the GCP at 779 Bank Street. And when you go, let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. All right, back to our chat with Dashy. What up? Feels like an active summer, though, coming up, no matter which way you slice it in Sens land. Everyone can follow Dashy on social media at Dashy Basran, and also Mary J. Cannabis, one of our favorite sponsors here. I want to ask you how that whole idea came together and how the business is going.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride, to be honest. It's me and my two good friends, Jas and Harmon. One night we went out for drinks, and that same night they had just changed provincial governments, and all the cannabis stores were supposed to be LCBO stores, and we went to a private. They were going to say private stores after that. So we're like, oh, what? Why don't we open up a cannabis dispensary? Kind of like, a joke kind of thing. And we sat there the whole night running numbers instead of like going out. We just sat there being like, all right, well, let's plan this. And how is it going to work? And we went to bed that night. And the next morning we woke up, and that's all the three of us could think about. And, the seed was planted. We wanted to be one of the first 10 to 15 stores to open in Ontario. So we found out early that they were going to rely on the Alberta model, which was like find a location, rent it out, and then you can apply for a license. So we find this place in Kingston because it's right by Queen's University.
Yep.
We're thinking, university students, this should be a good market. We rent out a spot. Mind you, I'm working social work at this point, so it's like very rewarding work, but doesn't really pay that well. I've got a house that I can use as a mortgage, but I'm not this isn't cheap to be renting out a place for no reason. Not even knowing whether you're going to get a license. Anyways, we rented out 2 days before we're supposed to apply. They say there's a cannabis shortage and there's not going to be licenses given out. That's going to be a lottery.
Oh,
yeah. So, you can imagine how many people applied. We did not win the lottery.
We know about lotteries here on
Yes,
Locked On Senators.
yes.
We know about that.
Lotteries are tough. Not a reliable business model for sure.
No.
But we did not win the lottery, and we were stuck paying rent in the store in Kingston for a year.
Wow.
So it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like some points, I just had a kid, my first, so it was like the financial troubles of that. Plus, I'm paying rent every month, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's a business, the cannabis business, like that." So it was tough. It was tough to convince everybody to keep this going. We almost gave up a bunch of times. But after a year, they allowed everybody to apply finally, because apparently the cannabis shortage was dealt with.
Yep.
And then we applied, and we were one of the first 15 stores to get a license in Kingston. So it was great. I quit my job and moved to Kingston, and the pandemic started. So it went from that to the pandemic. People think like, cannabis sales were great during the pandemic. For some stores it was. For us, it wasn't because of where we were. We were right by Queen's University. There were no students.
Yeah, and you probably need to rely on delivery at that point, eh?
It was delivery, and like they finally allowed it like click and collect after a while, but it was delivery, and it was just the three of us. We were still doing construction, and nobody wanted to do construction because it was like the early points of the pandemic where people were kind of still scared to go outside. So we did the flooring. We did everything ourselves. Painted everything.
Wow.
We spent about 3 weeks staying in the store, just like mattresses on the floor kind of thing. Finally got the store open. No students. We had about like 10 customers a day for the first like month, just because the advertising rules, we can't really do too much, but it was a wild ride. We ended up sleeping in the store for that first few months of it being open. So we would just like sell cannabis for 12 hours, sleep, get up, sell cannabis for 12 hours. And that was the life for a bit. But, enough of the doom and gloom. Like after word got out, we did pretty well in the Kingston store, and it allowed us to open up 5 more stores. Next was Cobourg, then Riverside South in Ottawa, then Orleans, and then Russell, and then Greeley.
So if you guys had your first store in Kingston, I know you said you're from Ottawa. Are your buddies from Ottawa too? Like, why make the big switch to open 4 stores in Ottawa?
Yeah. So one of my business partners, Harmon, he's from Vancouver.
Okay.
And he went
right.
Yeah, he is a big Canucks fan. He went to Queen's University, so he knows the area well. Yeah. So that's how we got that Kingston kind of tie. He's like, this place is unreal. It's right by the Queens. It's right by like I don't know if you know Kingston well, but it's right by all the bars.
Yeah.
In the University District, so it was a good spot. Yeah.
Man, I love hearing kind of the trials and tribulations of getting it up and running, and we're hugely honored to be a part of it in a small way here and try to get the word out, and saying what up to Dashy, dude. It's catching on. So
I love it. I've been seeing it catch on the live chat. I appreciate everybody, supporting us and saying what up to Dashy, and a couple of guys have been coming into the store too. So I appreciate the love, everybody.
We'll continue to have that on, Dashy. We're going to have to do this again down the road. We'll have to pop in the store next time we're in Ottawa as well and say what up to Dashy. Really appreciate your takes on everything. And it's been great. Long time doing this, and it went great. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Pilsy, here we go. What a chat with Dashy. Great time. We've got a game day tomorrow. We'll have an earlier episode for you in the morning. Sens skate at 11:30, so that's when we're recording. So expect that out around 1:30 in the afternoon. We're going to talk about Zack Ostapchuk in just a moment, but first, Pilsy, Michael Andlauer was all of us yesterday. How about that reaction to the OT winner in the Sens management suite?
Yeah, that's, Obviously, we're on Team Tank as fans here, but this has been a trying time for the ownership, the management group, the players, a 7-game losing streak like this. So to snap it at home in overtime against the Penguins was obviously a huge relief. And Michael Andlauer, he said it. And I think maybe some people just thought it was, him saying a typical thing like, oh yeah, I'm a fan, blah, blah, but he really is a fan. And it seems like he's just as into this as the rest of all of us.
He's more than just a fan. He calls himself a beer league goalie. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, Free Designs is a mask painter based in Calgary, and he had a project to get Michael Andlauer a new Senators mask. Like, is he the Sens e-bug? This thing is so sharp, so detailed. Go check it out. Free Designs is the name of it. FRIE Designs. And like, Pillsy, what more can you say about this one? They posted the video. We've got the side angle here. Like, we need to see this on the ice.
All right. First off, gold cage. Boom. Instant bonus points. Second, Ross, go back to the above the bird's eye picture. Laurels. Love it. You get 2 for 2 on that one. Red mask. This is an absolute beauty. I love it.
It's so nice. So shout out Michael Andlauer. This guy's walking the walk. And we had a couple people reach out on social media, and I think it's a fair conversation. I know where I stand on it, but like, you would have never seen Eugene Melnyk in the management box with Steve Staios, Dave Poulin, and I think they're Sean Tierney's usually up there as well doing the analytics. And I believe there's whether it's Tim Pattison or someone else up there. Like, is that strange to you at all, or are you all the way bought in on it?
I'm all the way bought in on it. It just shows the cohesiveness, Ross, and it really breaks down that tension and barrier of, maybe this is the right term, but like us versus them, right? Like the owner being like, all right, you're the management, you need to do this, I expect this of you, blah, blah, which I'm sure Michael Andlauer has, but more it's like, all right, how can I help you do this? Like, I'm right there in the trenches with you. So I like seeing that from Andlauer.
All the way in the trenches, dude. This guy's on his way to suiting up for the team. He's already got his helmet.
Exactly. Yeah, he's geared up. He's signed up, ready to go. So I love that. And we're a goalie-friendly show. So attendee, that's awesome.
Michael Andlauer has to come on the show. So if you know Michael Andlauer, get him on. We need to discuss that helmet and a whole lot more. Open invite to Michael Andlauer coming on the show. By the way, we also have to discuss not only the reaction there, but what I'd say to anyone who's kind of like questioning it is, those guys, Staios obviously knows Andlauer very well. Pooley, we talked about, they were on the AHL Board of Governors together, or in that whole sphere. They knew when they got hired by Michael Andlauer what kind of guy, what kind of owner he is, that he was going to be hands-on, boots on the ground, and all that. So I love to see it as well. I also love NHL debuts. We got to give a shout out to our good friend, Claire Hanna. One of the moments of the season was Claire's interview with Zack Ostapchuk's mom. Start of the second period, last night's game. She was overcome with emotion. Ostapchuk's mother, not Claire, who's just complete professional, awesome at her job. She told us she loves telling those personal stories about the players. Doesn't get any better than that. And we knew from reading Scott Wheeler's in-depth article last year that Zach unfortunately lost his father at a young age at 14. He was an only child. His mother took him to all the early mornings. So it was a culmination of all that hard work, that dedication paying off when he got to go out on the ice and play a National Hockey League game. He almost scored a goal on his first shot, the Sens' first shot of the game, gets a high slot, nice little shot on goal, and then he gets the tap on his shoulder in overtime to go out there. How'd you think that Zack Ostapchuk looked in his NHL debut?
I think this was a perfect glimpse for people that aren't familiar with his game in junior, aren't familiar with his game in the World Juniors, and maybe not familiar with his game in Belleville. This is the type of all-round player that Zack Ostapchuk is. And to have the trust of a veteran coach like Jacques Martin to put him out there in overtime, and he did just about everything you could do to get an assist on that goal. He steals the puck away from Crosby and starts to play up ice, and then perfectly times his change.
Stop. Say that again.
He steals the puck from Crosby in overtime to get the puck up ice and a perfect change. So that's huge. Like, that goal doesn't happen without Ostapchuk playing a good two-way game like that. And I really liked how he was on a line with Ridley Gregg. Ridley Gregg was the guy that set him up for that opportunity that you mentioned for his first shot. And yeah, going back to his mother on the interview, just those are the stories you love to hear about in hockey. People that have battled adversity, people that have had to overcome obstacles and they stuck through it, like a single parent, and then Zack being an only child. Like, that's not easy for sure, and that's what makes good people, right? Like it's like the old saying, good seas don't make good sailors, right? I'm sure Zack is a good hockey player. See what I'm saying there, Ross? You got it.
Yeah.
You want to go through that and come out better on the other side. And for all purposes, from what we've seen, it seems like Zack is that guy on and off the ice. So we're stoked. And he, in his debut, Ross, to be able to get 12 minutes and 44 seconds, that's pretty solid. So well done, Zack. Well done.
And shout out to Charlene Ostapchuk. That's his mother's name. And if you missed that interview, Claire posted it on her Twitter, so you can go find it there. Ostapchuk took 3 faceoffs, went 1 for 3, had 2 shots on goal, a hit. And well, we know he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow because the Senators sent down Yuri Smeykal as Parker Kelly has served his 2-game suspension, which, by the way, we never even talked about that suspension. It was just kind of like, yeah, you hit him in the head, he gets suspended. Crazy how a fan base can do that without completely losing their marbles when a player gets suspended. Credit to us.
Yeah, that's fair. That was
Red
a
Wings
weird.
can never.
Yeah, exactly. That was a weird play, and you could tell that it was a big deal with Andreas Englund's reaction. Like, he immediately wires were snapped. So kind of fair, but hey, it's good to get Parker Kelly back. He's a guy that Jacques Martin likes. He's a guy that I think has been pretty consistent overall since Martin has taken over. So it'll be a good boost to get Kelly back in the mix here.
Yeah, it will. And Ostapchuk an earned second opportunity
Absolutely.
on Thursday in Columbus. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is it was awesome to finally have Dashy on the show. I feel like he's been a infamous character for all the citizens. The term "say what up to Dashy" has really kind of taken a whole life of its own, and we got to say what up to Dashy. So hopefully you guys all saw that it's not just part of the ad read, that he's an absolute beauty and a diehard Sens fan. And hey, talk about battling adversity. There's a guy with his buddies to get Mary J's going. It wasn't easy for them, but they kept on grinding through, and now they're successful. And we are very proud to be partners with Dashy and Mary J's Dispensary.
Game day preview coming up tomorrow. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. And again, those kind words do mean a lot to us as we embark on the road to 2,000
Here we go.
episodes. It's all coming up in the years, days, months, and hours to come, because we'll be talking in about 14 hours. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.